Charlo. It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so I felt like, with everything that's taking place in the aftermath of Crawford Spence, in regards to, first and foremost, I think it was after the second knockdown. I forget which knockdown it was, but one of the knockdowns Crawford had over Spence, in between the referee counting and him being in the neutral corner, Terence Crawford was talking trash to Jermell Charlo. And for those of you guys who watched the Showtime epilogue series, you guys heard the audio. This has been brewing for a long time, and Terence Crawford made his intentions clear a long time ago that he wanted to fight Jermell Charlo 154. Now Charlo's going to 168 to fight Canelo Alvarez. There's a lot of questions if he'll even come back down to 154 to fight Terence Crawford. But I wanted to kind of talk about Terence Crawford and Charlo, and just Terence Crawford potentially at 54 against the likes of Charlo or Tim Tszyu. But we'll start with Charlo, right? Because that's the rivalry fight. And I'll just be real. Charlo, if you guys have ever seen him talk about Crawford in the past, I like Charlo. I'm a big fan of Mr. Keep Running Your Mouth. I think he's a true warrior. I think I think he's just doing what he can to prove his greatness in the sport. But I don't ever think there's really been any real ambition for him to fight Terence Crawford. Anytime Crawford would be mentioned, he'd always talk about, well, Crawford got to fight Spence, and how could Crawford come to 54 and fight me, and this, that, and the third. And it's just like, Charlo is a guy that, to quote my guy Rick Glazer, he's got balls down to his ankle. I mean, this guy, he's proven himself to be a real champion at 154. But when it comes to Crawford, I don't quite see that same type of dog, that same type of killer that I see when we talk about, other fighters and other guys he's fought in the past. Stylistically speaking, I feel like Crawford's a bad matchup for Charlo. First and foremost, Jermell Charlo is a fighter that, when you look at his career, whether it be against slick boxers like Tony Harrison or pressure fighters like Castaño, he's shown at times the lack of adaptability and adjustments. And that's why he's had these close fights, and that's why he's had to, do these rematches and make it clear the second time. And he made the adjustment. He gets credit for the adjustment, but they weren't made in the first fight to give him a definitive victory. You know what I'm saying? Or, prevent a loss in the case of the Harrison fight. So I just feel like his lack of adjustments, and even I feel like, I think Terence Crawford could outdog him too. I think if Charlo were to fight Crawford, his best path to victory would probably be maybe trying to counterpunch Crawford. But even then, I just think Crawford's the better counterpuncher than him. I actually think that, truth be told, it's a more competitive fight, maybe just because of the natural size. But Charlo Crawford might be similar to Crawford Spence. I'm being honest with you, and that's why I feel like maybe Charlo did the right thing by going up to 68, because now he don't got to come back down to 54, fight Crawford when he's there. And he don't got the pressure fighting Tim Tszyu, and he gets paid for it. And if he loses, nobody's going to criticize him. But if he wins, he's a boxing legend. So he made the right move from a management standpoint. But from the perspective of as a hardcore fight fan, I'm kind of upset, because with him going up to 68, a fight with Crawford or even a Tszyu is more likely not going to happen. But I think Terence Crawford would beat Charlo. I'd favor him over Charlo. I think he would. He'd be number 10, number 11 in a row. How many stoppages did Terence Crawford had in a row now? I'm losing count. But Charlo, much like a Spence, I think Charlo's more athletic than Spence, so maybe that would be a saving grace. That would be something that makes him more competitive in the fight. But his lack of adaptability, would cost him. So Crawford has declared he wants that fight. He did in a recent interview, Hot 97. He said it in the past. I would like to see the fight. Now, when we talk about Crawford maybe fighting Tim Tszyu, because for those that know, for those that don't know, with Charlo moving up to 54, the WBO has actually declared that Tim Tszyu is going to be champion. The minute Charlo steps in the ring with Canelo, Charlo is going to be stripped, and Tim Tszyu will be upgraded to full WBO champion. So the belts are going to fragment, meaning that Charlo versus Canelo is no longer undisputed versus undisputed because one belt is going to be missing. But let's talk about Crawford versus Tszyu, because that's a really good fight. You know, Tim Tszyu has shown himself to be a real game fighter and a guy that's developing. You know, he's staying match fit, he's staying active. I like that fight. I think obviously it's kind of hard to favor anybody against Crawford right now. I feel like he's just, you know, we talk about guys who are good fighters and guys who have mastered the sport. He has reached a point in his career that few fighters reach, which is just flat out mastery of the sweet science of boxing on all levels. You know, from inside, outside, mid-range, counterpunching on the move. Crawford can do it all. Tim Tszyu versus him, I think it'd be a good fight though, because we saw that there's some dimension to Tim Tszyu. You know, he's a very well-conditioned fighter. He loves to have a good scrap. We saw his counterpunching very good against Tony Harrison, but Tony Harrison is not Terence Crawford. Tony Harrison has durability issues. Tony Harrison isn't as offensively versatile as a Terence Crawford. So there will obviously be a lot more things for Tim Tszyu to overcome in a Crawford fight. But you know what? I feel like Tim Tszyu down to fight anybody. If Charlo won't fight Crawford, I would like the Tim Tszyu fight because I feel like the one time I was ever in the presence of Tim Tszyu, and this was when he made this was at a boxing gym in Las Vegas where he had his media workout for his American debut against Terrell Boucher. I've been in the presence of a lot of fighters, and what I took from Tim Tszyu was the fact that he's a no nonsense, no bullshit kind of a fighter. He's not really into the glitz and glam. He's not really into, you know, the back and forth and the rah-rah talking part. I mean, he will do that if it comes to that, but at the end of the day, he just wants to fight. And I don't think he would turn down a Terence Crawford fight. I would actually, he strike me as the kind of guy that would actually invite a Terence Crawford fight. I would say that fight's, you put it in favor of Crawford, but, you know, with Tim Tszyu being a full-fledged, vicious, you know, destructive, wrecking ball 54, fight might not be as straightforward as you think. You know, Tszyu that fought Boucher isn't the Tszyu that fought Harrison or even Ocampo. He's matured in these last couple of fights. So I feel like, you know, Tszyu versus Charlo was one of the best fights you could have made in boxing. Crawford versus Charlo, Jermell Charlo was one of the best fights you could have made in boxing. But Crawford versus Tszyu? Sign me up, man. Those are two no-nonsense type of fighters. And those are two guys that I feel like are trying to prove their greatness in the sport. And then look, you look at if Crawford beats Tszyu, that makes Crawford a 4-division champion, right? 135, 140, yeah. A 4-division champion. If Charlo doesn't fight at 154 again and vacates the belts fragment. And Crawford, I think, would be in pretty good political position to challenge for all the other belts due to the fact that he's been undisputed twice and would have great positioning with the governing bodies, because normally when you've been champion in a lower weight class with the other organizations, especially in 2 weight classes, you're going to have some say-so and you're going to have some standing with the governing body. So I think, you know, Crawford says, Terence Crawford also said in that same interview with Hot 97 that he doesn't want to box no more than 1 or 2 more fights. I feel like, you know, if he can do something like a Tszyu, maybe like a Tszyu and a Charlo or something like that, end his career, maybe try to fight for undisputed at 54, that would just be lovely. So yeah, that's the news. That's my take on Crawford. You know, I know more than likely he's gonna fight Spence in the rematch at 154. So maybe he can do Spence, and then maybe they can do Charlo. Maybe Charlo vacates, and maybe Spence and him could be for a belt or a couple belts, and then, you know, maybe Crawford versus Tszyu could be undisputed. I don't know, but I do think 154 is about to heat up in a major way. So yeah, 154, Terence Crawford is coming. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think about Crawford versus Charlo? What do you think about Crawford versus Tszyu? And even give me your thoughts on Crawford versus Spence at 154, because 154 is where all the motion is heading to in the sport of boxing. So yeah, leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care guys. Thank you for watching another video on the Untouchable
True School Sports Empire. We're here at the Hatanaka Boxing Gym in Nagoya, Japan. And for more great videos just like this one, make sure you guys click right here.